Have you ever seen it?
Have you ever seen?
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 Have you seen?
Welcome back to Have You Ever Seen? Wolverhampton's #1 movie podcast. We think. My name's Sam, and I'll be your host again this week. Joining me to discuss the best and worst the film archives have to offer, and sharing their best Sean Connery impressions are Luke.
This was a rather impromptu challenge. I didn't know we were doing this.
Rob.
BALANCE. Balance.
And Alex.
Greetings!
Sean, are you there? Is that you?
Do you know who Sean Connery is, Alex?
Is he that guy from View to a Kill?
Yeah.
Before we get to my film choice this week, and there could be only one, let's catch up on what we've been watching this week. Alex, what have you been watching?
Well, because Game of Thrones is sort of coming out like in a matter of time. I guess it's always been coming out in a matter of time, but in a matter of short time. Me and my wife started watching Game of Thrones season 1, and we were going to try and watch it all and sort of build into season 8.
There was a plan out not long ago where you could watch an episode a day up until release.
Yeah, so I mean,
Hang on, isn't it out really soon? The new
yeah, we
series?
started really late.
April, I think.
Right. I've not seen any episode of Game of Thrones ever.
Oh, have you not?
No.
You bothered about spoilers? Because there's a few in season 1, and
You go for it.
yeah, screw it.
You know what I mean? At this point, it's my fault, surely.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. But but anyway, bottom line is we just gave it up because although it was interesting to see sort of some foretelling scenes within the Game of Thrones season 1, it's like Jon Snow says to Robb Stark, "No one can kill you, Starks, can they?" Like, and as it pans out, you see these as kind of forebearers for what happens in future series. And there's
Do you mean because the Starks are like just the easiest people to kill in the world?
Exactly. They just fall like they fall like
You won't
pawns.
believe, Luke, what happens to Sean Bean. It's totally out of character for him.
I know, and that's when me and my wife stopped watching it as well because I mean Jory is this like Sean Bean's what's his name? Sean Bean, Boromir, Ned Stark's like sidekick, most trusted guy, and then he just gets stabbed in the eye, and like all of a sudden by Jamie Lannister. With Jamie Lannister's left hand, which I think is another forebearing of what happens. Yeah. And I just got really upset by it. And like Ned Stark got stabbed in the back of his leg.
You know, worse happens to him than that, Alex.
I know, and well, that's why, because I know it's coming, and I just can't take the emotional stress of trying to watch it before season 8 comes out.
That's my big
and then going
fear.
through all of that again. I'm definitely not rewatching the Red Wedding now, because if I can't take Ned Stark, I
found that
rewatching.
underwhelming, but I think the internet kind of spoiled that for me. My big fear with season 8 is that it will never live up to the kind of first season where anybody anywhere can die.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, unless he starts killing people off from the go, like Tyrion dies in episode 1,
Oh, that'd
that'd be
that might
amazing. I
happen.
really hope he does, because that's Game of Thrones to me. It's like any main character can die at any time.
that is the good thing about Game of Thrones. But
Yeah.
I've already been through it.
I'm
once.
just worried season 8 won't be that, but
Yeah. Well, I think
time shall tell.
there'll literally just be one person left, I think, at the end of season 8.
I think it'll be a really pointless character.
I
as
want it
well.
to be.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the Night King. The Night King needs to be the last person alive. He needs to
Yeah,
win.
screw
Let
it.
evil conquer good.
It's the only way it can end, can't it? If evil
Luke,
wins.
you look baffled by this.
Right, I'm just sitting thinking, you know, when I'm talking about films and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff, and I get people
You won't
looking at
believe
me
what
like
Ponda
this,
Baba said.
like, this is what they must think I sound like. I can't keep up with anything that any of you are saying. I have no frame of reference. I have
it's
no
quite
understanding
good.
of what this show is. For all I know is that it's basically, is it porno Lord of the Rings?
First few seasons are, but it's become a
Season
lot
1
more feminist
definitely.
as it went on. It's
If-
less porno as it goes on.
Feminists can like porno, Sam. It's
They
probably
can.
the most feminist thing
True.
going.
True.
Fe-
Sorry,
feminist
ladies.
porn.
Post-feminists, you choose what you want to do.
But anyway, so I'm done with rewatching Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
But
So
I
you've seen
enjoyed
them
it.
all?
I've seen them all already.
Up to
Up to season 7.
And
It's
you
a
were
lot
just going
to
to try and
catch up
squeeze it
on.
all in.
I was gonna try and
Is
squeeze
it
it
like,
all in.
is it proper American style TV where it's like 25 episodes and all
Everyone's from like Manchester.
It gets
It's only
shorter and
like 8
shorter
that? No,
as
but
it
I mean
goes
like the
on.
series length.
The original series.
Oh yeah, it's all British
eight
cast, isn't
episodes.
it?
I think
10
series
episodes,
1
I
was
think.
10
is that
million
it?
budget.
Oh,
Series 1 was 10 million budget. It had about 12 episodes, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
But then as it's become more and more expensive, it's like ridiculous budget per episode. There's less episodes.
I've always wanted to see it. It's not like I've
It's great. It's
consciously
a really
avoided
good
it.
series.
It's just I've never had a way of watching it. I didn't have like, is it Sky Atlantic or something?
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
I've just never had a way of watching it, and it's just got to series 7, series 8 now, and I'm like,
8,
well,
I think.
I still haven't
I mean,
watched it.
To be honest, I would recommend like
Just binging
I would
it.
love to binge it
Yeah.
from a point
I
of
kind
not
of
seeing
did that
it
with
before, yeah.
Breaking Bad. I watched
Yeah.
the first 4 series, and then I had to. It was painful having to wait for episodes.
I did that as
Yeah.
well, actually. Like,
So I think I
sick
might have
one
done
weekend.
the right thing.
Cool.
Although with the Lord of the Rings TV show on the way, I would
And The
prioritize
Mandalorian.
that.
And so much coming up.
Yeah, I could take or leave the Star Wars shows. I think we'll see.
It's Star Wars. I'll go and see it. I love Star
Okay.
Wars.
Star Wars and
Have you heard we've got
Favreau.
an Old Republic series coming up from the Game of Thrones writers? They're sorry, a series of
Yes,
films, a trilogy
yeah.
of films.
Yeah, the old
Not the Old
Based on
Republic.
the Old Republic.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that confirmed?
Set in the Old Republic, confirmed. Game of Thrones writers, trilogy of films.
Yeah, so lots of Old Republic.
I'm
boobs,
crying out for Darth Bane,
blood.
Darth Revan, Malak, all that stuff. Bring it in.
Alex just wants Darth boobs.
Who's the
Darth
lady?
boobs, Darth blood. Not too much
Not
blood
Kreia.
though.
We don't want Darth Bloody boobs. All right.
So, Game of Thrones, you tried to rewatch it.
And emotionally, I couldn't take
Emotionally.
it. Emotionally, I couldn't go through it.
Was
all
it
again.
good? Did it hold up to time rewatching
No,
it?
it's better. It's
Better?
I actually think it's better. I didn't like season 1 the first time I watched it, so I gave it up, and then I binged season 1, 2, and 3. I think all in one go after abandoning it, and then this time, watching season 1, it was really nice watching the characters in their beginnings and seeing all these forbearing moments that sort of predict
Yeah.
like seasons
Shows that he
ahead.
was setting things up.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Excellent.
but emotionally, no, done.
Emotionally, leave it. Give
Yeah,
it a
yeah.
miss.
I'll just get on with season 8 when it comes out.
Rob, what have you been watching?
So I'm going to go along with Alex down the TV route. I've been watching season 3 of True Detective. I really didn't know what to make. Season 1, have any of you seen season 1?
Incredible.
Woody
yeah, I
Harrelson,
loved series 1.
Matthew
yeah.
McConaughey.
And I avoided
Unmissable
series
TV.
2 because it was just outright
I
trashed
watched 2
online.
episodes and gave up. I couldn't get into
and,
it.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I was exactly the same. Season 1, 10 out of 10. Season 2, I don't think I even finished it. It was terrible. So I went into season 3 a little bit apprehensive, but after 10 minutes, I was sold. Mahershala Ali,
Yeah, he's amazing, isn't he?
he's just on a roll at the moment, and his character set in 3 timelines: 1980, 1990, and 2015. And each of these different characters all have some sort of problem. It's the same character, just
Okay.
down the line.
Different points in his life.
So he's got PTSD in 1980, coming back from Vietnam. 1990, he's trying to deal with this case that the series revolves around. And in 2015, the third timeline, he's got really late series of dementia.
Okay. That's
And
interesting thing.
it's trying to watch
Is
his
it the same
character.
actor in 2015 as 1980, or is it somebody else
Yeah,
playing?
no, it's the same
Wow,
actor,
okay.
but they just
Convincing?
use prosthetics. Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's Mahershala. That's Mahershala Ali through
Oh, the
all of
cross-
those. Yeah, okay.
straight
Has he
through
got a
all
partner
three.
in this one? Like in.
Stephen Dorff,
Oh, okay, yeah.
who the only
Who's
thing
working again?
Off
he's
Blade.
working. Yeah, that's the only thing I knew him from.
Blood King.
Deacon Frost, was it?
Yeah.
In
Deacon
Blade.
Frost
He was
becomes a
brilliant
Blood
in that,
King.
but
I
yeah.
don't think I've seen him in anything since.
Okay.
He was
since
in
then.
somewhere. I think it was called the
Oh, I
Sofia
don't know.
Coppola film.
I knew his face, but it must have just been from Blade. But it's worth watching purely for those two guys.
Okay,
and their
that's what
performance.
True
I
Detective
really love
was.
Mahershala Ali. I
True
mean,
Detective was McConaughey, wasn't it? And
Yeah. Woody.
Woody,
Harrelson,
it was Harrelson, wasn't it?
And just me fantasizing about how they could de-age Woody Harrelson and make a White Men Can't Jump sequel, just so easily.
Well,
now.
Wesley's again. Sorry, I keep jumping off into other news, but Wesley's now saying he's in talks for Blade in the Marvel universe.
I don't think Wesley's all there. Let's be honest.
I'm not sure how true that is. I feel like it might be his fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, Hulk Hogan thought he was going to be Highlander, I think.
Apparently, he was considered, but they just went, "Well, no, you're Hulk Hogan."
Yeah.
That would be a very different film. Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend True Detective, especially if you love the first series.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Jumping
if you-
back onto de-aging, is it more convincing? So, aging technology, is it more convincing than McLeod's wife in Highlander?
Oh, it's
when she looks like a slightly
million times
just tighter
better.
version of the same person. like
That's
30
made
years
her a
on.
bit pale. No, yeah, the prosthetics were brilliant. You can tell it's him, but
Yeah, convincing the old.
convincing.
Is it as convincing as Nutty Professor to the Clumps, where Eddie Murphy, I'm not sure if you know this,
What?
played more than one role? And
Oh, because he played
All
Thin
of-
Eddie Murphy and
well,
Fat Eddie Murphy.
he played, actually, I don't know whether you know this, all of the Clumps in the film Nutty Professor to the Clumps.
There was no. There was a whole family of people on the table together.
Well, I'm not,
around that same
well,
table.
listen to this. He was all of them.
What?
That won the Oscar for best special effects ever. So just as a little side note, everyone, we come here to learn, and that's one fact you can bank
Wow, I'm gonna
and
rewatch
impress
that
your
now.
friends with. Yeah, to the Clumps.
Eddie Murphy's got some range.
He has. It's a shame he's dropped off the radar. Yeah.
He really has dropped off. Luke, I guess you've been watching Nutty Professor to the Clumps.
Well, that's a weekly part of my schedule. But no, I've had quite a busy week or two. But one of the things I've been doing a lot is, first of all, Sam recommended a game to me on my phone called Bacon the Game.
Bacon the
Bacon the
Game.
Game.
And I've kind of been addicted to Bacon the Game, in which
So
the objective is to put bacon on things.
Literally, you have a small pair of hands dropping some bacon. You have to select when that bacon drops.
Yeah.
You have to flick the bacon with a frying pan and drop it on items as varied as a milkshake,
Yeah.
a shoe,
Or in a
the
mouth.
Mona Lisa.
Like, this is
an
how
open mouth.
seriously I took it. There was one level where you had to drop it on your current battery level, and my battery was on 97%, so it was quite hard. So I set a timer to later in the day when I knew my battery would be a bit lower, so I could pass the level on Bacon the Game. So Bacon the Game has taken up a lot of my time, but I did manage to squeeze in a viewing of Captain Marvel.
While playing Bacon the Game.
You
Which-
did get chucked out the cinema because you had your phone.
The sad thing was I did have to put down Bacon the Game for a little while.
Yeah.
But the film was good enough to warrant that distraction. I enjoyed it. I
I
mean,
had
to be
loads
fair,
of fun.
at this point, Marvel have got a formula that is pretty safe.
Yeah.
And there is no such thing as a bad Marvel film. There are just formulaic.
Yeah, ones
Marvel
that are
films.
less good. Like
There's none that are outright, but like DC currently
Yeah,
make
people
bad
kick
films.
Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's a good
Yeah,
film.
it's an
a
easy
solid
target,
film.
yeah.
Solid film.
Like I don't think there's any of them
Iron
that are
Man
bad
3.
films.
It's not great. It's got some things I've got a real problem with, but
Two's
it's
worse.
solid. I think
Three's-
3's worse. I don't think 3's really got a villain anywhere because Guy Pearce is nothing in it, and the
But let's say,
Yeah.
right, let's
Ben
even
King's
say
is a
that
waste.
Iron Man 3 is still 100 times better than, say, Suicide Squad.
absolutely.
So
Yeah. Suicide
there's no
Squad's
such
not-
thing
it's not a
as
film.
I don't think there's a bad
It's not a
Marvel
film.
film. But yeah, no, Captain Marvel. I mean,
Alex
I think
looks like he
that
disagrees with that last statement.
there's a lot to.
No, I was just thinking about the Incredible Hulk film and how underrated it is.
I think it is underrated, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because everyone
There's-
forgets about it, but I really enjoyed
And
it.
how
There's
with the
rumours
duck.
going round that
Yeah.
Abomination is back. There's rumours he's back.
Yeah.
I hope-
They set up the leader in that. Tim
Yeah,
Blake
yeah.
Nelson's
They
going to be
say
the leader.
there's a
I wanna
rumour
see
those
that.
That was
guys
a
might
shame.
be in a later film. They might be coming back.
I hope so.
Am I
Yeah.
right in thinking though that Marvel have issues with making a solo Hulk film?
Yeah, Hulk
Yeah.
has to be a
Because-
bit spot
Yeah.
character or a
He's a
side
side
Yeah,
character.
because
He's
is
like
it
he's like Jack
Universal
Sparrow.
have Hulk?
Universal, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's like
So,
Jack Sparrow.
I
as
think
well.
he
I think
works
he works
better.
better. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's a bit one-dimensional.
He's never been better than.
He
like,
was
in
incredible
Avengers
in
1.
Ragnarok,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was a side character.
Yeah.
He was
But
great.
no, Captain Marvel, great, great film. You know, lots of stuff to like about. A lot of '90s nostalgia. What else? I don't know.
I would say
Enjoyable,
any
funny.
of the, I like the way they took the timing with it. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but had it been a traditional origin story,
Yeah.
it would have been Green Lantern. And they did, because
Yeah.
it is the same film, isn't it? It's a pilot who gains some powers, fights in the universe.
Yeah.
But this way, it becomes more about like
Is
a
it
discovery story.
controversial to say I preferred Green Lantern?
I love Green Lantern. I think it's great.
You like Green Lantern?
The only person who hates it is Ryan Reynolds, I thought.
I
It's good.
think it gets a bit of a bad rep. I don't think
I
it's a bad film. I don't think it's
know.
as bad as it's.
I'd say it's the
Cracked
best
on.
recent DC film. I think it's better
It's
than...
it's better than everything since Man of Steel.
Even Wonder Woman, things people
I
say
know,
are great.
I-
Green Lantern's more
Yeah.
fun.
I probably don't. Now I'm gonna have to rewatch Green Lantern.
I
now.
think they would have been safer.
like this is a
sticking to their guns and building the universe around that.
Yeah.
They would have
Yeah.
had a much friendlier,
Imagine
happier,
that Green
upbeat
Lantern
universe.
fun, meeting a bit of a
Yeah.
grumpy Batman and making fun of him,
Yeah,
like
I-
teasing him.
I liked it. I
Yeah,
thought,
be
I
good.
thought, I thought
I
it was
did
an alright
think
film.
Green Lantern. My problem with Green Lantern is such a tangent. My problem with Green Lantern was
You
I
didn't
think they
for
had
Ryan
too many
Reynolds?
bad guys. They didn't need they only needed one bad guy in that film, but then he ends up fighting. But there's like two enemies. There's the bloke with the big forehead,
Yeah.
and then like the one in space. I can't
Yeah, they're
remember.
setting up.
Parallax.
Yeah, they're setting up Parallax, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, and I don't think they really needed to
it
set up
Parallax?
Parallax.
Yeah.
I think they could have just kept it on world kind of thing, on planet maybe.
They should have gone full comic book. Hector Hammond, the guy with the big head, in the comic, you
Yeah,
should
yeah.
see how big his head is.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant. It's like twice as big as his body easily. They should have just gone down that route.
They
And he
should
just
have,
can't
they should
walk.
have, yeah.
He can't get through a door.
Yeah.
That's the route that I think Ragnarok, the fun ones, Guardians of the Galaxy, they go through a silly route sometimes.
Yeah, I think
And that
they lean
works.
into it. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
lean into the
silliness in
silliness.
DC.
Seems like Aquaman has done that. Haven't
It
they?
sounds like I'm a real Marvel fanboy. I adore DC.
Better stories.
Are the
better
comics
characters.
that adorn my library. I much prefer DC
Yeah.
on the page. They just can't seem to do it on film.
Let's be fair. Most of the best Marvel characters are a reworking of a great DC character
Yeah.
at their core.
It makes me sad that I don't like Batman films.
I,
He's the best character.
you know what? I love Batman films, but I just haven't loved them in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1989, we got some good Batman films.
What a shame.
Early 2000s, we got some decent ones, really decent ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Oscar-winning Batman films.
I know. I remember not liking Dark Knight Rises, but I would take 100
Oh, yeah,
Dark
look
Knight
back on
Rises
that.
over what's currently happening.
All we need is ADR, Tom Hardy, with someone who can speak.
I think
It sounds like my Sean Connery impression.
Give him a Latino accent, which is what we need.
It's okay to hit a woman. It's
HS
not
does
okay
not
to hit
think
a
that's
woman. We
okay.
don't endorse that.
To be fair, if she hits you first, I believe in equality.
Oh man, that interview
I think we're going down
gold.
a black hole here.
Yeah.
Black hole.
Yeah. Where are we going with this?
Captain Marvel.
Yeah. There's a cat in it. There's some dodgy CGI to make people look younger. Not as good as probably.
I think it's great. With Sam Jackson, it is incredible. With Agent Coulson,
Coulson looks like a
they
plastic
probably used
man.
all the budget on him.
Yeah.
Do you think do you need to watch Captain Marvel to watch Endgame if you've seen everything?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
would help.
absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a bridge. It's a definite
and a
step.
wicked performance by Ben Mendelsohn as
Yeah,
well.
he was
Ben
amazing.
Mendelsohn.
Really great.
I've
Yeah.
got such a man crush on him. He's incredible. I'd watch him in anything. I've always wanted to watch him in everything.
Yeah.
Nocturnal Animals. If you haven't seen that film, Australian kind of crime drama with. Oh, I'll come back to me in a second.
Someone
Someone, you know,
Yeah.
famous Australian actor.
starring someone.
Edgerton?
Taron Egerton.
Not Taron Egerton. I think we might need to stop.
Joel
'cause-
Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton, yeah, thank you. Joel Edgerton. It's great. He is a fantastic kind of really sinister father figure of a crime family. Just perfect Ben Mendelsohn role.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he's such a known villain that actually he can play with that now. Build expectation. It's
Seems like
some
such a
great
friendly
twists.
guy in real life, and he's
He's
playing these
lovely, yeah.
sinister villains.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He plays a great villain.
What have you been watching?
I've been watching, just a bit like Alex the other day, I found myself on Netflix with nothing else to watch. And I was hovering over the Titans button and I thought,
Oh, did you? Did you?
There were other
can't
things.
can't do it.
Oh, dude.
I was hovering at Titans, but I ended up watching Russian Doll, which I don't know if any of you guys have had that pop up on your Netflix feed. Alex,
I've seen
probably
it.
yours
I've
is
seen
just a
it
blank
advertised.
Netflix with just Titans on it, so you clearly haven't. But Russian Doll is the new Natasha Lyonne from Orange is the New Black. Kind of Groundhog Day-esque story, bit of a sci-fi spin on a drama.
There's a lot of these recently.
Yeah.
There was one with Workaholics, Adam Devine.
Yeah,
Devine?
Adam Devine.
Adam Levine.
Adam Levine.
One
No,
of
he's a
them's one of
singer.
them's Maroon 5.
Adam Devine.
Adam Devine. He was in one. Wasn't there a Marlon Wayans one on Netflix as well?
I didn't watch that.
There was
I'm
a-
not
yeah.
a Wayans Brothers fan.
There's Happy Death Day and Happy Death
Happy
Day.
Death Day, Happy
It's
Death Day
like
to you. This one I
Ground
like
Day-
because it takes that idea, but it throws a lot of other things in. So I started watching it. This is all right. First episode didn't really grab me, but I was sticking with it because I was like looking after my baby at the time, and she was just asleep. So I thought, I'll just keep watching while she's happy. But it goes down a few dark routes, and like things start to degrade as this time goes on, and things like that. And it goes down a bit of a horror route at one point, and more of a sci-fi route. And there's a load of stuff happening with like people trying to make their lives better. They're not even sure why they're in this system of loops and trying everything. Really, it's
There's
really.
more than one person in a loop.
I've just spot a big part of it there, but there could be a loop. Who knows?
Accidental
No.
spoilers.
That's pretty early on, so I don't want to spoil too much. But
yeah.
interesting how things happen. It's well worth a watch, I would suggest.
I don't think I could sit through her sassiness.
I've got to say though, it's co-written by Amy Poehler. Straight away, I think that lifts the script. It's got
Okay.
great dialogue.
Yeah.
I've Parks
Like
and
her.
Rec fame.
Yeah. Just cool.
So that's what we've been watching this week.
Cool.
Beyond pleasure. Toxic chemical waste. Are back.
So, I'd better summarise the famous Egyptian swordsman Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez to set the scene. I can't do an Egyptian accent, so I'll have to use my own, and I really hope Sean Connery isn't too annoyed at me for being so lazy. From the dawn of time they came, moving silently down through the centuries, living many secret lives. Struggling to reach the time of the gathering, when the few who remain will battle to the last. No one has ever known they were among us, until now. That's right, we watched the 98th highest grossing film of 1986, Highlander.
From another time comes a man of great power.
Talk funny, Nash. Where are you from?
Lots of different places. A warrior of incredible strength.
You've the devil in you.
We've been kinsmen 20 years.
Conor MacLeod was my kinsman. I don't know who you are.
Because you were born different, men will fear you, try to drive you away.
Highlander. There can be only one.
Alex, can you summarise the film for us?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, Alex isn't here.
Oh,
Sean Connery popped in while Alex went for a poo. So, Sean, can you summarise the film for us?
yes, I can. Imagine a world. Imagine a world full of immortals, and these immortals all are heading to the same place. This place is the Gathering. Over time, throughout hundreds and thousands of years, these immortals journey towards the Gathering. No one knows where it is, I don't think, but they get there eventually. But there is a threat, and the threat is the Kurgan. They all must try and stay alive and be the last surviving immortal on this world. Because, of course, there can be only one.
Why did you turn into gold member at the end of that? I was impressed, but it was gradually slipping. He's not Scottish.
Mike Myers is Scottish.
Oh, is okay.
he? Yeah,
I think
kinda.
he claims to be. Yeah,
Claims to be.
Kind of Scottish.
yeah.
He's kind of Scottish.
Yeah.
Good job, Sean
Yeah.
Connery.
Thanks, Sean.
No
Impressed
problem.
it.
Can I just jump in? Because Alex said the word about 5 times. What is the Gathering? Because they keep talking about the Gathering. We need to get to the Gathering.
I think it's
And
a
then,
plot
like, the gathering's
device,
here!
Like, because really, if you're immortal, you've really got no reason to go around picking fights and
Yeah, you just go
trying
live on
to
an island
die.
as far away
so
as
I
possible.
think it's just a way to get them to fight.
It was
But-
just a survival film for all
Pretty
intents
much.
and purposes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like it was just the Kurgan's the only one.
Who really cares?
Yeah, and everyone else is just friends with each other and they're just chilling, aren't they? All the other immortals. So it was just a survival thing, and like there's a scene where they're stood on a bridge, isn't it? It's like, so this is
Yeah.
the Gathering.
They're friends. It's
Yeah.
like, it's here, the Gathering. It's like,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it? Where?
I
I want to see
know.
what the Gathering is. You've been building it up for ages. It's just a point where they kind of think, sod it, let's just kill each other now. I'm bored of being immortal. Let's
Well,
send
only
it.
2 people make it to this gathering anyway, don't potentially.
Yeah, potentially, if there is one.
Pretty poor gathering.
Yeah.
Really.
Because surely, technically, the Gathering...
This is a bigger gathering than the gathering in the,
The
film.
first gathering with the 2 Highlanders, Ramirez and MacLeod, and the Kurgan was a bigger gathering than the actual gathering. If you think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And like, what's Facile had to do with anything? Poor Facile. He was just watching the wrestling.
I know. Well, I don't know. He didn't pull out his sword, didn't he?
Yeah, but only because he saw MacLeod there. MacLeod hadn't gone to the wrestling.
Speaking of
Stayed in his antique shop.
Speaking of Facile, why was he bothering doing that when he could have gone to the Olympics? He could have been
Was
like a
that an
gold
Olympic
medal
year?
gymnast.
Right, so we're getting ahead of ourselves. So basically, the first scene of this film, for anyone who's actually not seen it and is following this the same way I followed the Game of Thrones conversation, directed by Russell Mulcahy, who
Is it
was
Mulcahy? I was trying to work out how the hell
yeah,
you say
Russell
that.
Mulcahy,
Mulcahy.
Mulcahy?
massive music
Mulcahy?
video director, did loads of stuff that you'd recognise. Went into feature films, did Highlander, he did one of the Scorpion King sequels, did Give 'Em Hell Alone from 2009, which is actually quite a good little film. Thomas Jane, who I think looks a lot like Christopher Lambert.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are uncanny.
Resident Evil Extinction, the one that was set in the desert, Highlander 2, and actually the much underappreciated film The Shadow, which is awesome. So yeah, Russell Mulcahy directed this, and you know what? You can tell it's put together by a music video director.
yeah,
He can
The
edit
entire
action
film.
like nothing else I've seen.
Yeah.
His action scenes are incredible.
Before we actually get to any of the film, I do want to sort of address something. How awful the opening titles are that you have to sit through. I did look into it,
Just that
and
block.
even though you've got the Queen who've done the soundtrack with this belting sort of song at the start, Prince of the Universe,
Yeah.
and you want to stand up and fist pump.
You mean the placeholder?
It's just, yeah, it was just red
Red
playing
placeholder,
Times New
block of
Roman
text.
on black, and it was just originally it was just a placeholder like title that they put in, and
We'll fix
some
this in
producer
post.
went, "Oh yeah, that'll do. Just keep that." I'm like, what? Because it's awful. It just doesn't match the
Yeah,
music or
nothing
what's going on
else.
at all. But it cuts to that wrestling match that you were just talking about,
Yeah.
where you've got the really impressive shot actually of the wrestling happening and a big sweeping crowd shot, and the camera flies above the crowd.
They invented
Actually,
a camera, didn't they?
It
They actually
was on
invented
4
technology. Basically, it's become the kind of go-to sports camera, hasn't it?
Oh,
4
yeah.
wires, as you're saying.
Yeah.
cuts
Yeah,
around.
they still use it today, and apparently that was the first time they'd used the technology.
It's
It was
fantastic.
invented by the
Yeah.
creator of the Steadicam. It was like his next invention, and they
Yeah.
trialled it in Highlander.
Really impressive
Looks
shot.
great.
Not nice way to start the film. And then it swoops around to the entire crowd and just cuts to Conor McLeod looking like he's having the most miserable time. Why are you even at the wrestling?
He's wasting immortality. He's such a grumpy man,
What are you
isn't he?
doing there? So he's just
Because,
sitting
Luke,
there having a mope.
It's a kind of magic.
It's kind of...
Don't know if you caught that a few times.
It's a kind of magic.
Sean Connery never said it. It's just... It's a kind of magic.
Yeah,
That was my Conor McLeod.
Conor McLeod, he does not sound that Scottish.
Conor McLeod at no point in this film sounds Scottish. But yeah, so I mean, after looking miserable, he storms down to the parking garage in which he meets
Facile.
McLeod.
Fazil. Wait.
a very old man.
A very old man who can backflip like an Olympian.
The length of a
My
parking
God,
garage.
that's so much unnecessary backflipping.
It made me laugh, right? About 3 people will get this, but there was a game on the original Xbox called Obi-Wan. You played as Obi-Wan, where it was quicker to hold down, I think it was B, and do somersaults everywhere than it was to walk. And I was just laughing to myself because I thought, wow, Facile finds it easier to backflip
backflip.
like Obi-Wan than walk places.
Got a sore ankle.
Yeah.
Can flip away.
He kind of messed up though, didn't he, for Seal? Because he snuck up behind Conor McLeod and then he just said McLeod.
Yeah, every time. And as Connor snuck up on him,
Defend yourself!
and as for he snuck up on Facile, he screamed as well.
Yeah.
He's like, just kill him. Don't announce yourself right before you swipe.
Oh my god.
Every time.
There wasn't much logic in the fight scene.
No. And who called the police anyway? Because it was an empty parking
Oh,
garage.
yeah, did you hear how loud the quickening was?
It was quite quick.
The quickening! It was like, it explodes, blows the place
Everything
up.
explodes.
Someone heard that.
Yeah, so after he takes Facile's head, yeah, everything goes crazy. What an impressive fight
Yeah,
scene.
SFX,
the way it was
every
shot.
SFX scene is incredible.
Like, I mean, I think this goes for pretty much every fight scene in the film.
They're beautiful.
Really well shot. Really nice long takes, silhouettes, smoke, dynamic camera movement. The only thing is with it, I often expected the main characters to burst into song at points because it's shot so much
music
like
video.
that kind of 80s music.
You expect
video.
Michael Jackson to walk in being
Yeah.
bad or something.
But no, really
I would've
impressively
loved
shot. Great. And like you say, I mean, really nice edits as well.
The edits, all I've written in my notes is different match on action cuts.
Yeah.
Because it's just cut from, like, hard cut, going up from the parking garage, hard cut into Scotland, match on action every time. And I was laughing my head off at them. They're so obvious, but they're beautiful.
Yeah. So as an immortal, it often cuts from modern day, 1985.
The
1986. 1986 New York with Conor McLeod, and cuts back to, I've got the year here, what year is it?
1536.
50, and it cuts back to 1536 Scotland, where he's a clansman and he's out fighting.
I like that they didn't do any clumsy exposition dialogue.
Yeah.
Hey, cousin! How are you, cousin? You're my cousin!
Yeah.
Are you scared, cousin Connor?
How are you doing on this hill in Scotland, Connor? You enjoing this sunny day in Scotland
So
in 1536, Connor?
Hey,
We're
the body
laughing.
year 1536.
But that's a lot more common than it, we often think. And wow, what a weird bit of casting, Christopher Lambert.
Yeah.
So originally for this Scottish main character in Highlander, they wanted Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I read that. They wanted Kurt Russell. Nice connection to last week's episode.
But Kurt Russell wanted to do Big Trouble. So
Yeah.
So we got that.
Stupid choice.
Stupid choice. Terrible film. No, we love Big Trouble. But yeah, so the second obvious choice was the European the French man who had just done what? Greystoke was it?
Greystoke.
Yeah.
Who couldn't speak a word of English.
Barely spoke English.
So he had to learn English and learn how to do it in a Scottish accent and an American accent. You've got that wonderful line in present day New York. The policeman's like, "You sound funny, Nash. Where are you from?" "Lots of different places." Lots of different places. Because he can't speak a word of English. But I can see why he was cast. He's the king of frown
Well,
acting.
he said
isn't he?
Robert Mulcahy. He said it was his eyes. He had these timeless eyes because of his myopia, and that was one of the reasons I got in the role.
He's just squinting because he can't see.
Yeah.
And he's mistaken it for some kind of brooding
Smouldering.
charisma.
Yeah. But it works, you know.
It does. You know what it does?
work.
Well, I can't take my eyes off him. I think he's incredible.
I think the best thing about him is we need a costume for our main character. Let's make him stand out. Let's give him some grubby Reeboks, a trench coat, and some dirty
trench
jeans.
coat.
There's
And
only
it's
only
just-
2 times. There's only 2 times where he looks any good in this film, and that's after the car park scene where he's driving out of the car park and his hair's all wet.
Yeah,
like,
and he's in his
brushed back.
Porsche. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. And then at the end of the film, which I guess we'll get to, where he's all wet again.
Are we going to
fully
go
quickened.
through each character and when they look sexiest in the film? Are we
like
coming
to.
to that now?
This might be the
Talk-
time.
I like the Kurgan when his hair looked like it'd been torn out by a goat.
And he's abusing some nuns.
bit of
That was
alopecia.
really good.
Did you know they shot that scene in a real church?
Yeah.
And literally, as they were filming it, there was a bishop and nuns looking on with just hate and disgust.
That's amazing.
Because he just ad-libbed all that disgusting
But
stuff
it's
he was
burn
saying.
out, then fade away.
He ad-libbed most of that. And they just
Going
hated
back
it.
to the Kurgan and Conor McLeod though, and the way they looked and looking grubby, did anyone else notice just it was Kyle Reese and the Terminator, wasn't it? Really,
His look,
much.
If
yeah.
the look of them was
But-
just ripped directly
Kind
from
of,
the
but
success
sort
of that.
As if they'd thrown some charity shop stuff together to do that.
Yeah, like, let's-
none of
let's-
the budget.
Terminator was
well-
successful. Let's just emulate that.
Robert
Yeah.
Mulcahy did comment it was like sort of a tight budget kind of. So you,
Definitely.
it wouldn't be against the realms of possibility.
I
that they'd
imagine,
just
yeah.
throw it together.
Was it
like
about
that.
16 million? The budget.
Yeah, 15.
Do we assume that he
16.
turned up in that outfit and they went, yeah, well, we'll use
That'll
it?
do. Well, Clancy Brown, he played the Kurgan, originally didn't want to dress up anything like the Terminator.
No, not at all.
He envisioned a very different character, the same as the original scriptwriter. I think they wanted him to be like in a pinstripe
hat?
suit and a bowler
More
hat.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, I
so.
mean, if you're
Be more
immortal, you'd
swag.
be successful,
And
wouldn't
his
you?
motivations were different. He wasn't just going to be some psychotic, evil 2D menace. He was going to be someone who had kind of lost everything, and literally the only thing keeping him going was the prize. You know, just the thought of it kept him going
He
as
was
an
more
immortal
McLeod,
because he
having
was
lost
so
someone he loved or something.
he was so bored
I did
with
like-
existence.
I did like the fact that he was just. I did like the way they went though. Eventually.
Yeah, I quite like
I like the
Kurgan.
barbarian.
He was
a
sort of-
psycho.
Yeah. Like it's just
I-
killing for the
I
sake
love
of
his
killing.
look back in the first battle
The
with the, sort of
gold
the
skull
skull
armor.
armor, and
Yeah.
just it's
I
awesome.
love that scene where in the battle where he finds McLeod and he just starts stabbing him. or
Fight me!
whatever. Yeah,
Fight
yeah,
me!
Yeah,
Where's
yeah.
everyone? No, don't fight me!
Come and stand next to me, cousin. and like, but then the Kurgan finally gets to McLeod and starts stabbing him up or whatever. And
McLeod just loses straight. Why
yeah,
did you be
loses
heading there?
straight away,
It's like
yeah.
finishing
exactly.
there.
And then McLeod's cousins and other people just come and drag the Kurgan away, and the Kurgan's going until next time.
do they have to
McLeod."
die to find out they're an immortal?
Oh, maybe.
Is that why?
You have to be beheaded to die, don't you? You have to
And
die through
I
beheading.
looked into it because I was confused about Facile being like an 80-year-old man doing flips.
Yeah, and
I
he's
think
aging.
you stop aging as soon as you behead your first immortal.
Ah, okay.
I think that was the
That's
the
a cool-
idea.
that's a cool
that as
little
soon
idea.
as you've had your first quickening, you stop
Oh, so
aging.
Connery did that around 50 then.
So yeah, even though he was something like 2000 or something insane, wasn't he? In in flashback. So it cuts to we have this ancient battle interspersed with the modern, wrestling battle.
Jumping into the wrestling while you said that, did anyone else notice when the wrestler came on and took off his shirt, a little girl licked her lips really creepily in it? That really put me off for this. I was like, ugh.
How little?
Like child. It was creepy. Like a
I
child.
did not
It's like,
notice that.
Are we uncovering something about Highlander now? Is
I
it
don't know.
Maybe.
is it covert propaganda for something?
But in the reverse. Like
What?
he was a little girl admiring him. It's horrible. freaked me out. I didn't
adult
like
abuse.
it. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Apparently, that wrestling scene, it was meant to be a hockey match originally, but the NHL didn't want to be seen as a violent sport, which obviously hasn't worked out.
There's a fight every game.
Yeah, but there was, while I was watching the Highlander film, they zoom in on a bloke in the crowd with a hockey mask.
Like to make fun of them.
Yeah, which I guess was a bit of a throw.
I really like the antithesis of that scene of the sort of the real gory way of life battle and the kind of modern
The cinema,
throwaway
the quick cuts.
violence. And I thought it was
Talking
a really
about modern
good.
violence, how violent are the cops? Their
I know.
reaction was like,
He took a real dislike to him.
yeah.
Garfield. Garfield was
Their
one of
reaction was
Garfield,
like, let's really violently arrest this guy. We've got no idea if he's the
the-
victim.
Yeah.
Let's mess him up. Let's attack him in the police station.
But
But I
then
have to say, sorry.
McLeod, a world weary bloke, he just starts throwing punches at the policeman. You just kind of maybe just like let this
He's
situation
an old
happen.
man. He's a
and then-
wise soul. Yeah.
Yeah.
Police though, absolutely useless. Let's send the forensics in. No one look on top of anything where the sword's hidden because he just chucked it on top of a barrier thing. hasn't
Leave
he?
the crime scene there completely unsupervised so that people can just sneak in at
Sneak
night
back and get their
add
stuff back.
or take any extra evidence. Yeah, very rubbish policing back in the 80s.
And then McLeod, when they finally get him in the interview room, he essentially he fights them, asks them if they're charging him. They say no,
No.
and he just goes.
He,
he's like,
he says
"We're not-"
no right after he punches a cop.
Yeah,
We're not charging you. Just after he punched him.
Just Joe Polito goes flying. It's crazy.
So going back to when the Kurgan stabs McLeod and we find out he's an immortal, there's a very quick turnaround on how much he's loved in that village.
His wife loved him at the start.
wife.
She adored
Yeah.
him.
And then she wants to burn him.
Yeah, it was almost like a Monty Python sketch, wasn't it? Like how much she wanted him to die.
You know what?
You've got the devil in you.
There's not a lot to do in the Middle Ages, is there? So it's kind of like, let's just get good
Cheap
burning underway.
entertainment.
Yeah.
And it was probably quite entertaining, actually. I mean, I was entertained when they were like kicking him and stuff. And it's kind of like you get to punch someone without getting punched back.
Yeah.
You know, I always get punched back every time.
They didn't really need that scene in some ways, though. I think they could have just had Connery come into that scene.
Yeah.
Have Ramirez come in, but
No, I
enjoyed
No,
the
I
belly.
like-
I really like the time they take on
Establishing
developing
him.
who Connor is and his journey through time. It really
Yeah,
the
you
whole
get-
film. I think the reason why it's very easy to see it as schlock
Yeah.
and really cheesy 80s sort of action. But I think the reason why it's lasted and it's got this cult following now is because it's got that heart.
Yeah,
and
Connor's a
you
real
follow
person.
him, and it's even though he's one of the craziest actors ever, you do still feel for him, and it's that kind of plight of the immortal, isn't it?
Something
And
endearing about him as well.
thematic-
Kind of
yeah.
like a Bill Murray Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
They build this character, you actually really start to feel for them, don't you, as they live with the fact they're never going to die. And
I mean, yeah, I
They're
guess
trapped.
he starts off quite funny, doesn't he? He's a bit of a joke.
yeah.
But then, yeah, when he gets into the whole Heather relationship,
Yeah.
like
Heather.
I blossom.
I will.
Yeah, I mean, like that moment where him and Heather are having a moment, and he's like topless and muddy and stuff, and then he just randomly puts his head
Yeah,
in a bucket
for
of
no
water,
reason.
yeah, and, it's like, and then nothing even happens from that. It's just like I think Heather's even looking at him, thinking.
I often
"What?"
think he just didn't understand the instructions from the director and just did random things.
yeah.
Because he misheard.
But I don't think he could actually see the script. He just did what he wanted. But right after he's he's made love to his lady wife, or
Bit
you
of
know,
coitus.
instantly Sean Connery just appears on the back of a horse,
Yeah.
jumping over them.
Out of nowhere.
Hello!
He's been watching for a
Where did he
while.
come from?
Where did he come from?
He's been watching for a while.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Sean Connery, who just comes into this film and just owns the film, doesn't he? Owns the scenes he's in.
Right, it's once again the most miscast role ever. So you've got a Frenchman playing a Scotsman who can't do a Scottish accent in the slightest, and can't pass for a Scottish at all. And then
pass
you've got
for French.
and then you've got who could argue to be the king of Scotland, playing someone who has no idea about Scottish references, no idea what Scotland is. He's playing a Spanish-born Egyptian prince, is it?
Yeah.
Juan
Yeah.
Sanchez Villalobos
The
Ramirez.
chief metallurgist to King Charles V of Spain.
You complain endlessly.
You look like a woman, you stupid haggis.
Haggis? What is haggis?
Sheep's stomach stuffed with meat and barley.
And what do you do with it?
You eat it.
The most Scottish man you've ever heard.
It's
But
crazy.
would Connor even have heard of Spain at this time? Like, if he's in a remote village in Scotland, would he even know what that is? It's like,
No, yeah, probably
oh,
not.
you're great Spanish peacock.
Even less so of Egypt. He's probably just blagging when he just maybe pretending he knew what
Aye.
Spain was. Yeah, aye, Spain. But like, I was reading this thing from this interview with Robert Mulcahy, and he was saying like, yeah, we get it, but you know, Sean Connery's been around for 2,000 years, so he could have just been in Scotland for a while. And
He could just be Scottish now.
yeah,
He's been there for 1,000 years.
yeah, he's been in Scotland long enough to adopt the accent,
To be
but not
fair,
long
you've
enough
been
to
in
have heard of
England
haggis.
30 years. You've got a pretty good English accent in 30 years.
Oh yeah, so
He's
so-
got 1,000.
That's
for a
fair
Scottish
point.
accent.
But he's never heard of haggis. How do you do that? How do you get a Scottish accent? Yeah.
What's funny is that the opening voiceover by Sean Connery, it's kind of got like a bit of an echo effect because he recorded it in the bathroom of his Spanish villa over the phone. The Spanish villa where he was working with his voice coach to work on his Spanish accent.
He clearly
There was no point where he had a Spanish accent in this film. There was no point where he was anything less than 100% Sean Connery.
Yeah, he didn't do anything, did he? It was just him.
Phoned it
He
in.
actually said
Literally
it.
phoned it in.
He was less Scottish as Bond.
Yeah,
This was so Scottish.
Bond was quite English. If he'd gone for the
Yeah.
English, that would be the kind of medium, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
It's crazy.
But wasn't he like he was only there for a week or something, wasn't he? Or like
Yeah,
he
he's
Yeah, he
not
didn't
filmed
film
for a
for
like
long time.
$1 million for a week's work. He couldn't even do a Spanish accent.
From there, though, we get a wonderful training montage. You know, they get he drowns him. He
We
comes
might
out. He has
argue
fish in his kills.
one of the greatest training montages of all time, and I may argue probably one of the greatest scenes of all time. So I think Rob used it as his intro with the balance scene. That in that space of 30 seconds, there's about 4 points where I have to pause the film because I'm laughing so hard at what's going on. So that's the aforementioned haggis scene where Sean Connery is completely baffled. What's haggis? That sounds disgusting. I've never heard of haggis. You've got, I can't swim, you Spanish peacock.
I'm not Spanish, I'm Egyptian.
Kicking her out the boat. You've got him like fighting kelp with his sword underwater. And then
A kilt full of fish.
you've got him trying to climb, you know, and attack Sean Connery from behind. Your attack was not better than that of a clumsy child. And finally,
Followed by.
the ultimate quote from the film. None of us can do any justice to this, so here it is.
Hate you.
I hate you.
I hate you.
Such sincerity with the laugh and the equal amount of sincerity with the hate, all in the space of about 3 seconds, kills me every time. I rewound that. I watched that 3 times.
It's probably the best one in the film.
Apparently they got on really well, didn't they?
Yeah, they're good, really good
Yeah,
friends.
yeah,
So
I mean-
you could kind of maybe see that.
Yeah, they were
through
having
in
a
the
really good
movie.
banter.
Yeah.
But I have to say, why? You know, at some point you're going to have to kill this person.
I
when
know,
the gathering
yeah.
comes. Why would you train
so
them?
let me fill you in on what's happening. One day we're going to meet together and we're going to have to kill each other. So I'm going to train you to do it better. What?
I mean, I did think about it after I watched the film, and like I was thinking like, well, the Kurgan's just going around just caning people, and it ain't the Gathering yet. It ain't the Gathering for like 600
You
years.
want to protect. You want to try and get the Kurgan done sooner, don't you?
Yeah,
Get him
yeah.
out of
It's
picture.
it's a good of the many type
Yeah, yeah,
situation,
yeah.
isn't it? Rather
Yeah.
than
And you'd probably rather be killed by McLeod than the Kurgan.
yeah.
Like if
Yeah,
you know.
because he will kill you and then rape your wife.
Yeah.
Which
Oh.
he
that
basically
bit
tries to
killed
do
me,
to.
man.
Well, he does
Oh.
to Connery.
Oh, yeah.
So that broke. Like I was watching the film and I was looking for reasons to not like it, and I was thinking, like, so there's that fight with Sean Connery and the Kurgan with
In the
with-
polystyrene
yeah,
castle.
in the polystyrene
With a little
castle.
bit of moss.
You've got
chucked into the brickwork.
like it's amazing how quickly they plough through this polystyrene castle.
Yeah, I know.
And,
Apparently
and the
it's-
world's lightest bricks just land and bounce off the Kurgan's head.
It was a film on a budget, so you just gotta accept it, haven't you? But it was. Like, I guess we'll talk about that scene, but like Heather in that scene was basically she was screaming or whatever at the end, wasn't she? And then the next thing you know is she's back and everything's normal again. And I was looking for reasons to like sort of not like the film, and I was thinking, well, why is Heather fine?
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
Like nothing's happened to her. But then obviously that's seen to
Nice little mystery.
Yeah.
later in the film,
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
it? So I was
Back to
like, screw it.
Leads to
I
that
can't-
realization.
yeah. And that was a bit. That was cutting as well.
It was.
in the church.
That
so-
scene again, despite the shoddy sort of production design and some of the dodgy bricks, again looks brilliant.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really
Every fight scene's well
it's
choreographed.
it's like
well
an
shot.
epic 80s music video. It's just crazy.
Mulcahy, did you say his name?
Mulcahy.
Mulcahy. He can shoot, can't he? He can shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a great scene, despite the fact that it's obvious bouncy bricks essentially or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is a great fight scene between the Kurgan and Sean Connery, like just climbing up the stairs as well, and just the whole thing is really good. And
think
like the interchanges.
What
between
it
the
did really
Kurgan
well
as
with the fight scenes is it kind of got that Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi style. You know, there's a lot of emotional weight behind the fights. You know, the best fights in the Star Wars saga aren't the highly choreographed, sort of slick ones. They're the ones where you're rooting for the characters.
Yeah.
And I think this one kind of got that. It kind of took what worked in the old sort of swashbuckling films and amped it up for today. What was really cool was the spark effect and the sounds that the sword made when they clashed. They did that by not the sounds. They did the spark effects by they hooked up car batteries.
Yeah, they were live.
To the swords. And I remember doing that when I first changed my battery on the car. I was like, oh, these sparks, and I just started sparking. But this is cool. This is Highlander.
Going back to your swashbuckling point,
Yeah.
there's a scene a little bit later in the film which cuts back to the past of Connor McLeod when he's in a duel.
Oh, brilliant.
The duel scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's drunk.
I think that was one of my favourites.
So he gets stabbed by the Kurgan and he's like next to dead. He gets stabbed like 5 times by this guy and he's just
If not more than
he's just
that.
laughing it off.
My wife came in while I was watching that scene. She went, "What is this? Is it a comedy?" I was like, "No, it's not a comedy." She went, "It's a comedy." It's like, it kind of is, but it's not deliberately.
The potential for sequels and extra scenes of the few hundred years he's been alive.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
where it
Just
needs to be.
fantastic. I mean, we'll mention it later, but I think the series might have revisited some of that sort of idea. But yeah, that scene where he meets a young Rachel in
the
is it
Nazi.
World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah, the master race. Like, again, another bit where I was crying, but this little crying girl. And he's like, shh, what's your name? Rachel! They could have got a better actor for young Rachel.
Well,
Yeah.
that's got that little segment does have one of the cheesiest lines in the film where she asks him why he didn't die.
We all
When he
know
gets
why
shot.
he didn't die.
Yeah.
It's a kind of magic.
Yeah.
And then later on in the film, it's a kind of magic.
Yeah.
Apparently, that scene was dropped from the US release, at least that World War II scene. It wasn't in the original film release. It was.
I didn't know
it's
that.
a more
European.
It's a European or more recent version of the film with that,
Okay.
and you can't really imagine the film without that scene.
He needs to meet Rachel, otherwise,
Yeah.
it's like, how does she know he's immortal?
Otherwise, well, she's just.
I
a
mean,
nothing
it's no
secretary,
balanced
isn't she?
scene, but it's a good scene.
Yeah.
Talk about balance scene. I've just got the word stag in my notes. Remember why that is? Why does he look at the stag, bond with it somehow, and then just run at normal speed?
It's the quickening. Anything you don't understand is the quickening.
I don't
Right,
get the
just-
stag. He just bonds with it psychically.
They had
somehow.
trouble with that stag. Did anyone look into that?
Briefly.
Like, apparently, that they chose to film a stag during the sort of time of year where its horns had dropped off. So they had to kind of glue them on, and anytime they filmed the stag, it was just tearing
It
at
just
these
fell off.
fake horns.
Yeah.
So at in the end, they just used stock footage.
Yeah,
So it's
didn't
cuts
need
to
be.
stop and then cuts back.
Didn't they put the horns on the stag's head and then it ran off and they couldn't find it?
Yeah, for ages, and then it was just pouring at it. I was just imagining that scene from Scrooge when he's trying to get antlers on a mouse.
Use
And he's-
staples.
Use staples. Yeah, brilliant.
But yeah, it's a kind of magic, and then an amazing white cut back into the modern day of Rachel, but slightly creepy relationship with Rachel.
I mean, I don't know. I kind
Again,
of
I'm
see
seeing
it.
a message with this film that I didn't see before. With the
Yeah,
open licking lips.
there's a bit of a grooming.
Do we think he
Isn't there going on?
There's a really quite a tender
I mean, you
goodbye, which was not fatherly.
She's got nothing. He's got no. Well, he can't be fatherly, can he? He can't have.
Just because he
kids.
can't have kids doesn't mean he can't be fatherly.
We're saying that they're lovers, and he knew when she was 5.
I don't know, man.
And
Like,
at that point, when he was 5, he was about 300.
well, she seems pretty happy with him.
It's a bit of an age difference, Al.
That's how grooming looks, Alex. Though it's
What, guys? What?
it's a brainwashing thing. No, probably innocent, probably a fatherly relationship. We'll just kind of leave it.
I would say at least 3/4 of this podcast do not approve of grooming.
I don't agree with grooming.
just putting it out there.
Two lonely souls, you know?
Alex.
I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know how I got into it. I was talking about Let the Right One Into Someone.
Yeah, me
And
and you.
Oh yeah, and that's a
really
grooming
creepy.
film.
Yeah.
That's
But
the
we
same.
were talking about the
She
new-
looks like a little girl, but still.
Yeah. We're talking about a new film from the same writer, which Lighthouse are getting about the troll lady. I'm hoping
Border.
Border looks great, and it's the same writer as
Yeah.
Let the Right One In.
Okay, yeah.
Can't wait to see
Wanna
that.
see that. Cool.
Going back to Tender Moments, one of my favourite scenes from the film.
You're talking about Candy, Tender Moment with the Kurgan.
No, not quite. Not yet. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it really shows Lambert's acting range was don't laugh. Lambert's got acting range. Was when his beloved Heather was on a deathbed.
Heather, please.
Heather, please.
I just laugh. I'm looking through my notes about his acting, and I've just got, I love his crazy face. That's one of my notes. But yeah, carry on.
Despite the really bad aging sort of prosthetics used on Heather.
I don't think they're as bad as you guys.
They've
are
just
making
put a bit
out.
of flour in her hair.
She looks a bit...
And some lines. They've literally drawn
I
lines.
don't
on
think
her
it's as
face.
off-putting as remember Captain America, or was it Captain America 2?
Yeah, with
Peggy.
Peggy.
Like, and they
maybe,
CGI'd her face in the middle of. Did anyone watch this week's Alan
Alan
Partridge?
Partridge,
This
little
time
boy.
Alan Partridge,
Please,
where they
sir.
crudely CGI his face onto like a young boy.
It's just the centre of a boy's face.
It reminded me of Captain America, but yeah, it was wonderful. Good job, Alan Partridge.
Yeah.
Back to Heather.
Sorry, back Heather. Please.
It's really the first moment you realise it must be a pretty terrible existence being immortal. When it comes down to it.
For me, that's like probably the greatest part of the greatest thread of the film, because you see the like he's gone through the worst of times, getting kicked out of the village, and then he's going through the best of times, and he's like super happy with Heather and got like the best life together.
Yeah.
And then it does go through that montage,
That's
doesn't
what
it?
kind of defends him with Rachel, is because he loves Heather so much.
Yeah.
He
You
would
can't
be-
imagine him being with her.
Yeah, I can't imagine him.
I think
feeling anything for anybody
thematically you're
else.
right, and I think that's one of the things that really works about it. And I think the other thing that underpins that scene and actually sort of strengthens and sort of elevates this film a lot more is that Queen stepped in
Yeah.
and wrote music specifically for those scenes that worked, and sort of Who Wants to Live Forever over that scene.
That's kind of it's like
Perfect.
it works. It
Yeah.
builds, doesn't it? It's little hints of that song at the start, and the soundtrack was done expertly.
Yeah,
When you hear this
absolutely
film's
love
got a
the
Queen
soundtrack.
soundtrack, you imagine Flash Gordon, don't you?
Yeah.
But it's really tender.
It's a real diverse soundtrack as well. You know, it goes from heavy rock like the Kurgans. Is it the Prize? Give me the Prize.
Yeah.
To Who Wants to Live Forever. I think each of the band members took a scene and wrote a
I was
song.
say, who wrote the
specifically
fights?
for
The
it.
fight scenes have got some beautiful synth.
Yeah.
There's like some proper 80s synth in the fight scenes.
I'm not
as
sure.
well.
Did they do all of the music, or did they?
I'm
just
not
do
sure.
the-
That's something we need to look into.
Man,
I
maybe
don't think they did a lot of the background
Okay, that'd be
music.
some-
I think
okay.
they did like the main tracks that you noticed.
I don't think it was Brian May did.
He did Who Wants to Live Forever, yeah.
And then I think Freddie Mercury did It's Kind of Magic, and then I think the Jurassic Park boy did the.
did John Deacon.
Yeah, John
Yeah.
Deacon did Prince of the Universe, I think.
Yeah,
Great song, Prince of the
Michael
Universe.
Carmen did the intermission work and extra work.
Okay. I really think you would have loved Bohemian Rhapsody more. I was waiting for this moment in Bohemian Rhapsody where it cuts to them all shooting the Highlander music
That's what
video.
they should do. The sequel. Sequel should just be like the Highlander.
Get Rami Malek back
Yeah.
in his Oscar
Jane in.
role.
Get Tom Jane in.
Get Tom Jane to play Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, Christophe Lambert.
No,
That would-
no.
I would-
You know who should play Christopher Lambert? Christopher Lambert now. Just get him back.
With the
He could
Alan
do
Partridge de-aging.
it. He could do it.
You
Definitely.
can de-age anyone
Modern
now, can't
technology.
you? Yeah.
Yeah,
just
Sam
work.
Jackson. They've got
Age
that
is no
budget.
longer a factor.
Yeah, but no, that would have made Bohemian Rhapsody way better.
Yeah.
Focusing, I'd say maybe 45 to 50 minutes of the film on the making of Highlander, the movie.
Yeah, I would.
I think that would have strengthened it.
Well, it's I sort of. I mean, I've seen Highlander loads of times when I was a kid, but I'd never made that connection. I'd always thought Who Wants to Live Forever was a Freddie Mercury sort of last innings.
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
never realised it was
No,
a
80s was-
Highlander.
yeah,
A
yeah.
Highlander specific song. Not even
Was
written by
Band Aid
Freddie Mercury.
87?
I'm
So
not
it's
sure.
a year before the peak of their career almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's even things like It's a Kind of Magic, which it's just this massive anthem there that everyone knows. And it's all about Highlander.
And
One prize, one goal. It's about the
There's not
prize.
even there's not even like a Highlander music CD release or anything.
No?
You have to just buy a Queen album,
Queen
which has got
album.
most of the songs on. and maybe another album.
I actually looked on eBay the other day. There was one vinyl release specifically advertised as Highlander,
Yeah.
and it's really difficult to get.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow. We should put it in, shouldn't we? You know, like it's a great soundtrack.
Expenses.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
very
We'll claim
expensive,
it's the
yeah.
podcast, yeah.
But like that, back to the death scene with Heather. That sort of brings an end, doesn't it, to the medieval sort of Scotland
Yeah, we
era,
lose that,
doesn't
which
it?
I was
And
kind of glad.
yeah.
And then we get the little montage through time, don't we, with the jewel and things like that.
Yeah.
But I like the New York stuff. I think it's great fun.
Yeah.
Particularly the New York Police Department. That just, all their scenes are great. They're just such a useless division.
They are
New York, the smokiest city in the world. Every scene, there's just smoke everywhere.
It's moody.
It's
and
moody, but
neon. Yeah.
it's the point that literally there's a smog problem, 86 in New York.
I mean, that's another
dangerous.
sequel they could make, isn't it? Like they could just make a detective movie with like Garfield and Alan North, whoever he plays. Like they're just them still trying to solve this crime of the beheading in the parking garage. Just like
I'm going to go with Garfield and say, can the cat be part of this?
obviously the cat can be part
Violent
of this.
New York cop,
Yeah.
ginger cat, solving crimes.
Ginger cat called Garfield.
Occasional
Policeman called
quickenings.
Garfield. Like just take on the mystery.
Do you want some facts about the Star Wars connections in this film? Yes, please.
Oh yeah.
I'd love some facts about Star Wars.
As long as they're not
Sean
Last
Connery.
Jedi facts.
As I was
then-
sitting watching it, I thought, oh, there's lots of Star Wars actors in this. So one of the immortals that he meets, the African prince, is Captain Panika from Episode 1, The Phantom
Yeah,
Menace.
yeah, Naboo.
Yeah, so that I thought, oh, that's cool. His name is
Well,
Hugh
he's aged well.
Hugh Quashi. Hugh
From
Quashi.
86 in 13 years. He's not aged.
Yeah,
He's in
Good for him.
Hobby, is it
He-
Hobby City.
he looked
He's looked
pretty
after
good.
himself.
Yeah, he looked alright. So he's your friendly immortal, Captain Panika.
Can I just jump in and just say that's if there's a point in the film or a part of the film that I don't like, it's the whole dialogue between him and Captain.
Really?
Panika,
Why?
yeah. Because he's barely in it. He's just like
He was fodder for the Kurgan. Yeah.
That's all he was.
Yeah,
he was
you
fodder.
need
Yeah.
to set up a
But
character so you just
They
about
should
care.
yeah.
They should have established him in a flashback.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
we were going to as well
Yeah.
in that flashback
Yeah.
scene where he's getting stabbed 5 times.
Yeah.
It's mentioned
I think he
earlier.
saves
He's
them
not
in
even
World
there.
War II. He could do anything, couldn't he?
Yeah, I think just a little bit of build up, in a flashback would have just sort of rounded that
Yeah.
off, as opposed to
Imply that McLeod has travelled the world as well.
Yeah.
Met
Yeah.
him in a
Yeah.
distant place. Like Ramirez has been to Japan where he fell in love and learned never to love a woman again. We assume that Connor's gone Scotland, England, New York, don't we? That's it, really.
yeah.
I think you find out in later movies
He's been out of the
he's been
planet,
around a
hasn't
bit.
he?
But I mean, the fight between Captain Panika and the Kurgan. That's where we have our second Star Wars link. That chap with the machine gun.
yeah.
He
who-
absolutely
who
obliterates the Kurgan.
charges him. That's Christopher Malcolm. I think he's a Scottish actor, and he played Rogue 2. Do you remember in Echo Base when Han and Luke go out and get lost to the Tauntaun?
Yeah.
He's the one who's like, Echo
We
Base,
found
Rogue
him.
2, I
We
found
found
them.
him.
Repeat, I found that's him. So second Star Wars thing. And the third one was Celia Imrie, his wife from the very beginning. Burn him!
Yeah.
She played one of the pilots
in a
in
lot of
Phantom
British
Menace
films,
as well.
isn't she?
Yeah, a lot of, she's like a best exotic actress or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But she was Bravo 5 in Phantom Menace.
I
So
forget that.
basically, there's your Star Wars facts. I feel like that should have a theme. Star Wars facts. I just made that up on the spot. I don't know if you can...
No, we'll use it every
We'll
week
use
now.
it-
We'll
we'll
use that
use it,
part
yeah.
every week.
Star Wars
facts.
facts.
So we've just, in the timeline of the film, we've had the Kurgan get blown away in the alleyway with the machine gun. The scene almost directly after that is probably my favourite in the entire film, with the handwriting technology.
You know what? I had no idea that Nash was McLeod at that point. I was like,
It took this to show that so clearly, didn't it?
You got here, Brenda. He's a guy who's been creeping around since at least 1700.
It's not possible.
So this is 86.
86.
How have they got this technology from at least the year 1987?
Put this in
I
context.
guess they literally just couldn't think of any other way to discover him as immortal.
literally,
It was
just get some tracing paper.
So is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
as there are stillborn babies? Is it he's adopting the persona of that child,
yeah, essentially.
and so when he gets to about 70, he will find a baby on record who didn't
Would
survive
be
childbirth.
about 20 at that time.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe,
Yeah, younger.
And he takes on that persona and becomes them.
'Cause he could kind of pass for a
We then
certain
have
range,
5 or
couldn't he?
6 signatures of the same person, and just the magic of movie making and the magic of 80s computers, much like the Thing computer.
Yeah, the thing.
Yeah.
Magic 80s computers, and we sit and things click to place. One of the greatest cinema going experiences, probably the greatest cinema going experience of of our life, I think.
I think so,
Rob.
easily.
We went to the BFI IMAX. How many? It must have been a while ago now.
9-10 years.
About 10 years ago. They did a time travel all-night event. I don't know how this film qualifies as time travel. Flashbacks are not really time travel.
They go forward in time always, which is
Like,
normal.
which is what we're doing right now in this podcast, everyone. Welcome to the time travel episode where we are progressing at a standard, steady pace through
Linear.
time. But yeah, it was the time travel it was Terminator 2,
Back to the Future
Back to the
2.
Future 2, 12 Monkeys, and Highlander, all shown in original 35 or 70mm. Absolutely brilliant. But Highlander was the one that got the most vocal response.
At 4 a.m.
At 4 a.m, people were standing, cheering, and the moment where those letters click into place on that computer screen.
I think
Honestly,
there was a standing ovation.
there was a standing ovation. The
Everyone
theatre
was on their feet.
erupted. We were crying with laughter at how amazing the 80s computer was. You've got to have to see that scene for yourself.
We may have to post that as a link when we post this episode.
But it was wonderful. Yeah.
And then just the guy who's working this piece of future technology, just how nonchalantly he turns to her. Oh yeah, this guy's been skulking around since the 1700s, as if it's just normal.
Yeah.
Perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I mean, you sometimes do that at work, don't you? You just want to give an answer that gets off your table.
Yeah, just
kind
to be
of thing.
fair.
He must be
Get rid of it.
300.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
there you go.
He's a mole.
she also
I'm
puts
clocking
out
off.
there that a sword that might be a few hundred years older than expected in terms of technology, to her is more impressive than finding a 747 in, I think she said, the 1500s or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, surely that's more impressive, finding a Boeing 747.
But to any of us,
Than a sword.
she wrote a metallurgical history of ancient sword making.
Man, she was
It's a
not
very
happy when he
niche
found that
subject,
book.
isn't it?
She
so
was not
that's
pleased.
obviously right up her street.
Does the quickening give you psychic powers?
The quickening does everything.
How did he
so-
find the gun and the tape recorder in her apartment?
Experience. Just experience, innit?
Exactly in the right place. Instantly, didn't look. He knew where it was.
Satching me up.
It's
He's
never
so
implied that
sinister
he's
in that scene,
It's
isn't
never
he?
implied that he's psychic, though.
Does anyone know why? Because he goes to her apartment. What's her name? Do you remember what name?
Brenda.
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 I don't know. Brenda. He goes to Brenda's apartment.
Australian?
Yeah, I don't know.
Brenda?
Brenda. He goes to Brenda's apartment, and then she asks him, she's like, "Oh, do you want me to take your coat?" And he's like, "No."
Refuted.
And it's just really awkward.
He's got the sword tucked in,
He's got a
hasn't
big
Oh, is it the sword?
Yeah, he's
I
always
was-
carrying. That's
He's
why he
hiding
wears
the
the
swords.
coat.
I was like, this is so awkward right now. Why doesn't he just let her have his coat?
Because
all he does
why
is put
doesn't he
his-
just get a sword like the Kurgans that dismantles like a gun? That sword would have no strength, would it? You hit someone with that, it would just snap.
Did you like that scene where he was putting his sword together?
The sword put together
He
scene, I
does some
think.
sweet sword tricks.
Because in a fight, you sometimes have to stop, and as Luke pointed out earlier, spin the sword around your own chest.
It was a really awkward, clumsy move he did there. But I think he was just like warming himself up for when he had his prostitute.
I'm so limbo.
He was just excited.
Talking of the prostitute, I've actually got some
Candy facts.
Candy facts. Prostitute being called Candy. I mean, I just happened to click on her bio. Like I wasn't specifically.
She wasn't a
looking
real
for it down.
prostitute, surely.
Well, her name was Corinne Russell, and she's from Birmingham, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is what piqued my interest.
I reckon we
nothing
could
else.
track her down.
Yeah, I reckon we could track. I looked for her on Twitter, but I just found a bunch of other.
She's
Corinne
on
Russells.
LinkedIn
Oh,
under
man.
Candy the prostitute.
Yeah. So she did a lot of page 3 work with The Sun and the Daily Star. But the most interesting fact, and this is a James Bond trivia, nothing to do with Sean Connery.
James Bond
She-
trivia.
She was
I'm so excited. I've sneezed. Carry on. Carry on.
Corinne Russell was she was a silhouette girl in the opening credits in Octopussy.
Oh.
And that's literally all she did. She did Octopussy
And Highlander.
and Highlander.
And page 3.
She was on a video game cover called Vixen, a video game called Vixen. She was
Do you
the
reckon
cover
she
girl
went
for
up to
that.
Connery on set and she was like, "You alright, mate?
Yeah.
Do you remember me from the opening scene of Octopussy?"
That's a Roger Moore film. Octopussy being like, I think that film debuted. I think it was the first Bond girl to appear a second time in that film. But yeah, like the fact that she actually.
Did you go and watch that sequence and point her out as the specific silhouette?
Now I went on the Page 3 website.
Can I just say, I've got so much respect for the groundwork you put into the research of this podcast. Like, you go above and beyond, and you delve into these dirty areas that we never would.
Someone's got to do it, man. Like, someone's got to get filth on their hands. And
maximum respect.
Although I can only imagine as she walks in and she's like, "Hey, I'm Candy." But now I'm just thinking of her go, "Hey, I'm Candy."
After that,
yeah.
Let's come a hotelier, let's make it fancy. Says, "Hey, I heard you and Candy got up to something kinky. What is kinky for the Kurgan? I want to know what the kinky side of Kurgan is."
Don't prostitutes have like a code of ethics? What did she come straight out and say, "Yo,
guys kinky,
guys kinky,
guys kinky"?
Maybe that's a no. Maybe she meant. I think she meant clinky because of all those sort of paper clips in his neck.
Yeah, the clips holding his head on.
Yeah.
Do we assume?
Yeah.
Do we assume they're actually holding his head on, and without it, it would just fall off?
It would be pretty clinky.
Yeah. So it would
be a pretty clinky
if you're moving
experience.
a lot and like these paperclip things are like rattling each other,
What's really funny is like when he upsets the hotel clerk, manager, motel
that
owner.
guy's fearless. This
Like,
terrifying
he just turns
figure.
around and like he seems to know instinctively that this guy must be an immortal because he's like, "I hope they chop your head off."
Well,
What a weird thing to say to someone who is not an immortal. Like that's
well, in defense,
maybe
of this,
he's the last immortal,
he could be the last immortal,
and
Connor's not truly been quickened.
That's his hiding place.
potentially. Although it doesn't stop you from
Seedy
getting herpes,
motel.
obviously. But
him and his drunk little reception man. I think they should do a sitcom surrounding those two characters.
They could. That would have been quite a good spin-off sequel.
Him and the Marine, the randomly ultra-violent, tooled up with a machine gun at all times Marine.
who survived being swung around on a sword or whatever.
That made no sense.
I know, yeah, you completely got and then they're going interviewing him in hospital. I'm like, why is he not dead?
I know, he should
Some
be
great
so dead.
cinematography. What was that shot? Let's just get the tops of their heads for a while. It's amazing.
Do you reckon we should shoot to the final battle then between McLeod and Kurgan atop Silver Cup Studios?
Silver Cup Studios.
Is that what it was?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think originally it wasn't meant to be there, was it? Did any of you read where it was meant to be originally? It was meant to be atop and around the Statue of Liberty.
Now,
It like her head.
Now,
Like
the
X-Men.
Statue of Liberty
Like
has not
Ghostbusters
worked
2.
before, has it? So as a set piece.
Well,
so,
that was the risk. So they went with Silver Cup instead because everyone knows Silver Cup Studios.
I was
love it.
thinking, why is it in
I
Silver
love
Cup
the
Studios?
big neon letters.
I
and
think
I
it
think
was
it
better
looks awesome. Yeah,
All these
Atmospherically.
scenes.
I would way rather have this than
When
the
he
Statue of
kills him
Liberty.
and every window shatters, every time the effects
Yeah.
are incredible.
The
that bit
windows
where all the
shatter,
letters
and then you get that
start
beautiful
dropping.
vista. And
I have to say though, they drop from a water-soaked roof through a glass roof where there's no water inside. I don't get there's definitely some
not much glass.
Not much glass.
They fall into a music video studio.
And he
Yeah.
immediately looks better, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The clouds, like hair wet, black. He's sort of
Yeah.
like. Has he got a leather jacket?
So would you
on
say
all
this
of a
is the
sudden?
bit where
He's
you
just
think he looks
great.
sexiest?
This is his most
Is
sexy
this
point in the
his
film.
second sexiest or? I thought you liked him in the car.
I liked him in the car, but I loved him.
Oh,
in
wow,
the-
okay.
So we go
in the
from
music
like to
video.
love.
Yeah.
I actually think that Game of Thrones, going back to Alex, Game of Thrones took a lot from this final battle scene.
Yeah.
Because this final scene with the Kurgan and MacLeod reminded me a lot of, spoilers, The Mountain and Prince Oberyn.
Yeah.
I thought it was the same sort of dynamic in the fight. It's like the
Yeah.
big, clunky Kurgan
Yeah.
and like the quick, technical...
Yeah,
Connor
and that was
McLeod.
I kind of like that dynamic as well because you just you can't have two of the same, can you?
Yeah,
Going at it,
cancel
so it was
each other
kind
out.
of, and you saw. I thought you saw a lot more of his ability as a fighter, as McLeod's.
Yeah, you get the impression that
in
he's
this last
improved,
scene,
don't
didn't
you?
you?
He's spent years honing his skills.
Although because in the Sean Connery scenes, apparently Sean Connery refused to get any training, didn't he? Like sword.
Well, he was too
sword
busy
fighting
learning to
training.
speak Spanish, I think.
Yeah, so
I'm working on my accent.
you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to be Scottish. And I didn't sword
No,
fight
he didn't.
either.
He didn't do Scottish. He did full Spanish, didn't he?
Oh, I've got that thing right here. Accents
I remember subtitles. I thought he spoke in Spanish language as well.
I wonder whether we should watch it with subtitles. See if it says speaking with a Spanish accent. But yeah, that final scene, like
The final battles. I've seen this film quite a few times, and it's weird because when you watch a film to talk about on the podcast, you watch it through a slightly different lens. I think you mentioned it earlier. You try and watch it through a more critical lens.
Yeah.
And this fight was really stood up. I think it's a really impressive final act.
Every
and
fight,
showdown.
every fight.
And like you say, it's got the emotional stakes because we've just found out that he both killed his mentor and raped his, one true love.
Which I have to say, for
And it's-
Kurgan, all it has is McLeod looking awkwardly at him, and he goes, "She was your woman." He's really perceptive. He's emotional. The Kurgan. He's
the
a good-
quickening, Sam. It's the quickening.
the quickening. He should be a therapist. He can read people like a book.
He would have. I mean, he might still be alive if he was a therapist. Not that he's dead. If you haven't seen the film,
Where did he get his modern London accent from? In ancient Scotland,
Who?
the Kurgan. He's full Londoner.
he's been around. Like, because in the beginning of the film, like he's just arriving into New York, isn't he? So I guess maybe he's coming from somewhere.
Like even in
so-
ancient Scotland, he was London.
Well, yeah, I
Like-
guess so. Yeah. I don't
Maybe
know,
he just
man.
perfected it when he came across
You know,
from Russia.
I guess it's kind of like in an English film where they're playing Germans and they just speak
I think
English.
the thing is, Russell Mulcahy took a very avant-garde approach to filmmaking when it came to accents in this. He thought a lot of people like authenticity with it. No, I want people to sound like they were just plopped in from space.
Well, they're all supposed to be
Lots of
timeless
different
beings,
accents.
aren't
These
they?
people are immortal. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're meant to be well travelled, I guess.
If to be honest, like if they sounded like where they were from, then people would be like, "Well, they've been all over the place. He was only in." This
You sound
place
like an
for-"
ancient Scot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like-
I mean, the fight
Russell
culminates.
Nash. That can't be your real name.
The fight between the Kurgan and McLeod culminates in, obviously, well, spoilers for a 30-odd-year-old film.
Paper
in
clips going everywhere.
Paper clips clinking all over the place. And, yeah, Connor chopping the head off. And that's...
Final quickening is
The
wonderful.
final quicking's crazy.
Just animated skeletons.
You've got animated demons and monsters swirling around. You've got
I expected the
you've
ghost.
I know it all.
You've got visible
I know
wires
everything.
pulling him around. You've got a paper mache head exploding. you've got the window smashing open.
The window
It's brilliant.
smashing was. I don't know how they did that. It's great.
It was awesome. Yeah, but really, really epic way to finish the film. It really
Yeah.
doesn't.
And then we kind of just get a really gentle back to Scotland for a moment, which I think kind of.
Yeah, if I had one criticism,
I would have just
think
cut
I
it
would.
there.
Yeah, that last scene where you see him and it's taking it all in, I would have finished there.
I mean, it probably was the weakest point in the film, but I thought it was kind of a nice
Cut
way
to him
tie
wearing
it.
all
it's a
white.
nice bookend, isn't it? We go back to where he was.
I know what
from.
everyone's thinking on the planet, and I can bring world peace.
Yeah.
But first, I go on holiday for a little bit to Scotland.
But yeah.
Before I build a planet roof or whatever I do in the sequel.
Before I go and save a planet and ruin the planet.
They should have had a Matrix ending and had him in a phone box and then just fly the camera.
Yeah. That would have been awesome. Well, because his ability.
With Queen singing Rage Against the Machine.
That would have been. That would have been the best way to end it.
It's a kind of magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So yeah, loved it.
That's Highlander 1986.
Is it? I mean, I don't even think that needs to be discussed, isn't it? Like round of approval. I think we all absolutely adore.
I think just
Love it.
clap. 5 neck paper clips out of 5 neck paper clips.
over the past few episodes, we've encouraged you to visit Lighthouse Cinema, Wolverhampton's only independent cinema. They need your support. If you head over to light-house.co.uk, you'll see their antiquated website, which is only marginally better than the New York Police Department's handwriting comparison software in Highlander. They're a registered charity, a cinema, a cafe, and so much more. They want a new website that really reflects everything Lighthouse has to offer. Its fantastic community, quizzes, music, arts events, and everything in between. You can help them hit the target by pledging at crowdfunder.co.uk/Lighthouse Project Bright. Every penny counts. Pledge as much or as little as you like, and check out the incentives they have to offer for each pledge made. They've got 6 weeks to hit their target. The count is on. Back to the cast. It's time again to spin the wheel to decide who'll be the next Highlander. The next host of the quiz.
And here comes Candy bringing the spinner in. You right, lads? How's it going?
After last week's The Thing disaster, we had to start again with the spinner. So the spinner came to life and tried to replace us one by one. So we've built another wooden one, but there's this Scottish lady who keeps screaming "burn him" and trying to strap a guy to it. Guys, should we spin the wheel?
Yeah, let's go. So, just putting it out there, guys. I've actually not really had much to do since episode 1. I think this spinner's a bit faulty.
No,
I think it's weighted.
It's
I
going
think
to be you
weighted
this
your
time.
way.
It's going to
So-
be you, Luke.
So here we go. Let's spin.
It's definitely going to be Luke.
Oh my god, no, it's not spinning.
Burn him!
Burn him! Burn him! And it's definitely Alex!
Oh, sorry, Luke. Okay, so
Is there a big bus too?
there is not. Well, we haven't made it yet, Sam. But we will.
Using Travel West Midlands.
Yeah. The film that I'm going to choose. Well, basically, let's just say you need to take the effing elephants and get yourself prepared for Darkman.
Oh, snap!
I thought you were going to say Dumbo.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that. Like,
I thought we were going to go and see
I
a
don't know
bit of,
Darkman well enough to get any references to
It's
Darkman.
a pretty funny scene. He's getting quite angry in it. So it's the pink elephant.
Yeah.
Dumbo.
Guys, you'll see.
I mean,
it.
there'll be an elephant in the room to address with Liam Neeson, and
There will be,
his
yeah.
views on
Yeah. So
on people of colour.
So in our next podcast episode, I guess we'll be taking that elephant.
We'll tackle him right down.
We'll tackle that elephant
Yeah, well-
right down.
Yeah, brilliant. Excited. I'm looking forward
So,
to it.
Darkman.
Darkman.
Who
No foolish heroics, if you please.
is Darkman?
Well, the Kurgan famously said, "I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away." What he didn't know was that it's actually better to end on a quiz. You guys ready for a quiz?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go. Quiz time.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
I'm always ready for a quiz.
What is Connor's modern name in present-day New York?
I forgot already.
I know his last name.
I know the last name.
Yeah,
and I'm
guessing.
not sure.
I'm guessing at
the first name.
Alex has said Philip Nash. Rob has said Russell Nash.
I think it's Russell Nash.
Luke has said Robert Nash. It is Russell.
Russell.
Russell Nash.
Oh,
It's
Russell Nash. Damn, I knew it was Nash.
Russell
Okay,
Nash.
it's because I'm sitting by Robert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put your
How
hopes
long?
on.
By Philip.
Did Sean Connery spend on set filming his scenes? I believe Alex has already given us that answer. Alex has gone for 1 week. 1 week. Rob's gone for 7 days. Luke's gone for 7 days. I'll take those answers. It is 1
I think it
week.
should just be 1 week, not 7 days.
I've got 1 week written down, but I'll take 7 days.
Sorry, guys.
Again, I think Rob will get this one. I remember Rob has said this already. What does Ramirez say he's on a mission? Sorry, who does Ramirez say he's on a mission from when he first meets Connor? Who is he on a mission from when he first meets Connor?
What? So Ramirez.
Ramirez says,
Sean Connery.
I'm on a mission from somebody when he first meets Connor. And a bonus, what is his role or title for that person? So Ramirez says, I'm on a mission from so-and-so, and I am his something. That makes sense. This is probably a difficult quiz at the moment.
Okay.
Rob? Rob has gone for King Charles V
That's
and Chief Metallurgist. Luke?
I've put Chief Metallurgist Charles V.
Okay, I like it.
I
Alex has written Planet Zeist, People Prince, something the Fifth, which is a nice little throw out to people who've seen The Quickening, Highlander
We're
2.
bleeding out into Highlander 2 here.
Ramirez says, I'm Juan Sanchez Villalobos Rodriguez.
Ramirez, Sam. Come on, get
Ramirez.
it right. It's a quiz.
Chief Metallurgist, correct Rob, to King Charles V of Spain. So Luke and Rob, give yourself a point.
Yeah, I will. I blossom.
Oh, well.
I will.
Heather, please.
Heather,
The opening,
please.
the opening scenes wrestling match featured real superstars. Soon to be WWE Hall of Famers, the Fabulous Freebirds, Michael P.S. Hayes, Terry Gordy, and Buddy Roberts, against This could have been the question, but I think it's too hard. Greg Gain, Jumping Jim Brunzel, and the Tonga Kid. But which wrestling star almost made the cut to play Conor McLeod himself? Yeah, that could have been a really hard question. Name any of the WWE superstars, but I thought that was a bit cruel.
Hang on.
Okay.
I think Luke is probably drawing the said
No,
superstar. It's taking a while.
I need a minute to write my answer.
Who
Okay,
wants
Right.
to live?
No, I'll just write it.
Alex has said Rikishi. No, I mean Hulk Hogan.
I was going to say, you said it.
Hulk Hogan, and Luke has said Hulk Hogan. It was the Hulkster himself.
The reason why he didn't get the job is he was far too sexy to the 5 to 7 year old girl market, and they were worried.
Honestly,
about...
watch that scene again. It is creepy as anything. I don't understand what they're trying to say about this wrestler.
Wow.
How old does Brenda say the shards of Connor's sword are when she finds shards of his sword that have taken out the concrete wall in a New York parking garage of Madison Square Garden?
I think it's this, but it sounds absurd.
I'll take either. She says a specific year, but I'll take roughly how long it is.
Okay.
Well, I've done.
Alex has said 600 years old. Luke has said 1 million before humanity existed.
I'm
It's
pretty
an old
sure
sword.
that she was so shocked.
Rob has said 500 BC, so 2,000 years. Rob is closest.
Nice.
She says
I don't think your math's quite right there, Sam. I think if you look again at a million years, I think I'm probably closer.
She says, I dated these pieces of the blade at 600 BC. The metal's been folded over 200 times.
you had 600.
The Japanese didn't start making swords that way until the
And you
Middle
had
Ages.
600.
So where the hell did it come from? If I could verify its existence, it would be like discovering a 747 made 1,000 years before the Wright brothers ever flew.
Do you know it'd be way more shocking than that though? A 1 million year old sword. Imagine finding
Predates humanity.
that sword.
But yeah, I think the
brilliant.
jet's more impressive than an old sword.
Okay.
That is slightly older than you thought could be. 747 it works out as 900 AD to find a 747. Come on,
That would be
Brenda.
pretty
Come on,
shocking.
Brenda.
Yeah.
Don't be silly, Brenda.
Do your homework, Brenda.
Brenda, please. So, what's the scores on the doors, guys? Luke's a 3. Alex?
I got 1 week and Rikishi, so that's 2.
2. Rob?
5
5.
points.
Rob is the Highlander. I think Rob is the Highlander.
I am the only one.
Rob is the
Your,
only one.
your prize
That can be
is a
only
beheading. Well done.
The Kurgan's about to burst
Oh, maybe this is the gathering.
It's a better gathering.
It's a gathering.
in. I've not got a saw, but I've got a screwdriver. I can chip your head off very slowly. It'll take a while.
I've got a Dorito. It's got sharp edges.
You're invited to my party.
Find out how good you are.
Eat one lousy foot, they call you a cannibal.
So thanks for listening, you Spanish peacocks. Remember to follow, like, subscribe, and drop us an email. If you listen on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. It'll really help boost our listing. So I'll let the Kurgan say it again. I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away. See you next time.